What's up, everybody? It's Matt Modi here to bring you another video on behalf of OddsJam, the sharpest betting tool out there. Today is Friday, which means it's my favorite video of the week, and then it's when I give out 4 picks. So if you remember last week, or if you were a fan of my old podcast, Betting with the Bears, shout out my boy Puneet, we would give out 4 picks for every NFL Sunday. We'd give out 1 lock, 1 dog, 1 player prop, and 1 game prop. I'll only go over the rules once again because I don't want to repeat myself every week for the listeners out there that are listening every week. But the lock, the rules are the odds can't be worse than -200 because it doesn't take a genius to know that the Browns are going to beat the Texans. So I'm not going to bet that money line. That's terrible. The underdog, the only rule is it has to be money line, and the money line has to be plus money. It doesn't happen often, but there's sometimes when the money line, if it's such a 50-50 game, the money line won't, even for the team that's not favored, the money line won't be plus money, but that's the rule as it does. And then the game prop and the player prop, same thing. Can't be worse than -200. But for me personally, I'll never place a player prop bet worse than -150 because they're just so hit or miss. And if a player gets hurt at the beginning of the game, you're screwed. So those are my rules. The reason why this is my favorite video is because I actually get to place my own bets that I think are going to win. OddsJam is a phenomenal tool for brainlessly making money without even having to think about it. You use the betting tools, you go to the arbing, and you're guaranteed to make money. Or you go to the positive EV page and let's say you want to only bet on stuff that's over 5% positive EV, you just filter down, and that's what, like 8 or 9 bets right there. So that's great. I brainlessly place those without even thinking, but the reason why I love this 4 picks video is because I actually get to see how good I am at this stuff while also using the OddsJam tool to make ssure that it's a positive value bet. So the way I start my picks is I just kind of personally, for me, I go to DraftKings to look at, because it's my favorite layout. That's just what I do. Some people like FanDuel better. Doesn't really matter. I just do that to get a general idea of the games. So I look at the odds, I look at who's favored, I look at the game total, all that stuff, and then I kind of go from there. So for me, one bet that I really liked was the Rams money line over the Colts. I see that straight up right on DraftKings, it's worse than the odds are no worse than -200, so that's good. But before I officially decide whether this is a good bet to make, I go to Pinnacle, which is the sharpest sportsbook out there, and I see what they have the money line. So they have them at -186. So as of right now, if I'm just doing DraftKings, that's not a positive value bet. But let's go to OddsJam. Let's shop. Looks like for me personally, based on all these Virginia ones, the best odds I can get is -180. So there you have it. That is a positive value bet. If you want to calculate how much it is, you could just use the expected value calculator there. I won't get into that because I've done that on previous videos, but I know right off the bat, that's a positive value bet. So for the football aspect of it, I think it's a great bet because I think the Colts are going to be terrible this year. Let me just pull up my picks on the other screen so you don't get to see all my notes. I watched Carson Wentz be the worst quarterback in the NFL last year. And then I watched his game last week against Seattle, and he was the same exact quarterback. He tried way too hard to keep plays alive. He didn't know when he didn't want to throw it away. He was inaccurate. He was terrible. And this week against the Rams, he plays probably an even better defense in Seattle when he struggled against. And Rams offensively are probably going to torch the Colts in the same way that Seattle did last week. Stafford looked great in his debut against a Bears defense that is probably better than the Colts defense. The Colts are already missing their starting cornerback. Like I said, they got shredded last week. And then the team around Wentz, if you want to even pretend that he's not a terrible quarterback, the team around him isn't any better. Their offensive line got manhandled by Seattle last week. They're already, missing their right tackle, Braden Smith. And the receivers, I wouldn't say are any better than the Eagles receivers last year. And everybody complained about how bad his receiving corps was in Philly, which, to be fair, they were terrible. But they're not much better in Indianapolis. So I think that the Rams are going to win. They are my official lock at -180. And again, I know that's a positive value bet because I go to Pinnacle. I see that they're -186, and I'm getting them at -180. So the 0.06, there's your positive value. It's not crazy. It's not going to make the top positive value percentage, but I think they're going to win. I like it. Let's go on from there. So the next one, the underdog, and this one's really easy to decide who to choose from because you just look at who's plus money. So you have to be plus money line. To be honest, this week I wasn't a huge fan of all the underdogs. Obviously, I don't think the Colts are going to win. Don't even ask me about the Texans. Dolphins aren't going to win. The Eagles have a chance, but I don't know. And down and down and down you go. I finally settled on the Bengals at plus 120. I'm not super confident in this, but if I had to guess on one underdog, I think they'll win, mainly because I think Matt Nagy's a terrible coach and he's got shit for brains. I think that the double doink all those years ago just totally screwed him in the head, and he's got no idea what he's doing. He's had a terrible offense every year he's been in Chicago. If you want to blame Mitch Trubisky, you can, but it still doesn't give him any reason to choose Andy Dalton over Justin Fields just because he promised him. Justin Fields is clearly the better quarterback. Nagy's not starting him because he's an idiot. I have no faith in him. I think that defense might be over the hill. So give me the Bengals at plus 120. And again, if you want to make sure that this is a positive EV bet, you'll go to Pinnacle. They'll have them at plus 120. So if I did that on DraftKings, they're actually even money. That's even value, which I would still, I would still bet because it's not negative. I try to only stick to positive ones, but even if it's neutral value, I'll still be comfortable with it if I like the bet, especially because this one's an underdog. You're not going to find a good one. But let's see, the best odds I can find are plus 125. Ooh, looks like OddsJam has them. And then if I don't want to bet on OddsJam, plus 123 on Barstool. There you go, positive value. So that's the underdog, the Bengals. The next one is the player prop. In this one, I have to thank OddsJam for, because I scanned the positive EV page. I'm not going to show you because I scanned the positive EV page. I don't want to show you that, so if you don't pay for it, you don't get to see all their positive EV plays. And I scanned that and I found one that I really like. And if you want to go to the game, it is the Browns, and the player prop is Baker Mayfield under 33.5 passing attempts. So I did some digging, and the reason, and I'll show you the odds here at minus. Oh, it looks like they changed it. It was just 33.5. I'll still take the under at 32.5. And the odds are a little bit better anyways. The reason why I like that is because the Browns are going to win, right? They're not going to lose to the Texans. There's no chance of that happening. I looked through, and every single game that the Browns won last year. They won 10-6. In 9 of those games, Baker threw under this amount. He threw under 32.5 passing attempts. So 32 or under. Basically, the Browns, the way they want to win is they want to run the ball. And even last week, in a game that they were up most of the game, they still ended up losing, but they were up most of the game. So I do think let me pull that up. I do think it's fair to compare. Baker threw it 28 times. So they want to lean on the run game. They want to use Chubb. They want to use Hunt. They want to keep the ball out of Baker's hands. Even though I don't think Baker's a bad quarterback, that's just not how they win. They use their offensive line. They run the ball. And in a game where the Texans are going to get blown out, Baker might not even have to play the whole game. So this under 32.5, this might be my favorite play of the entire week. I think it's great. So that's my player prop, Baker under 32.5. And then the way that I found that was positive value was I looked at Pinnacle. This one might be a little different. Let's see. They have it at under 33.5, but look at the odds. They have it at minus 148. So unfortunately, they don't allow you choose the under 32.5. But I know that it's not going to change it to be worse than the minus 105 you're getting here. So that's another positive play. And if you want to look on OddsJam to see if you can get the best odds, which I'll show you this every time just to highlight how important it is, I go to the Browns game. I'll click player pass attempts. Looks like the best odds are minus 105. No problem. Still good odds. I'm very, very confident in that happening. Excuse me. That is my official player prop. And if you look at OddsJam, has it at minus 110. So there's your expected value from OddsJam. Again, obviously the sharpest tool out there. For my game prop, this one I struggled with. This game prop was always the one I was worst at last year. I don't know why. I just can't seem to get it. What I settled on was the Bills game total over 26.5. Again, I'm not super confident in this, but the reason why I chose it was because if you look at the history of the Dolphins and the Bills, Josh Allen just has a Dolphins number. Granted, not their current Dolphins head coach is the defensive minded one. Josh Allen's rookie year, he wasn't there, but still, I'm still confident in it because if you look at the last 5 totals, the Bills have put up against the Dolphins. And 4 of these games were against Brian Flores, their current coordinator. they put up 56, 31, 37, 31, 42. They've gone over this number every time. I know a lot of people might be down on the Bills based on their performance last week, but the Steelers might have the best defense in the NFL. And last year, during Josh Allen's incredible year, he struggled. They only put up 26 points. It was one of their lowest totals of the year. The Dolphins defense is good, but it's not quite the Steelers. And the Bills just have the Dolphins number. The way they play defense, Josh Allen just picks them apart. So over 26.5, minus 115. The VIG there is not great. But if you look at Pinnacle, which I did, I found that it was positive value. I don't want to go through because I've showed you how to do that. But I will go and find the best odds. Go to football. You go to the Bills, because again, I want to make sure you find the best odds. You go to team total and Bills over 26.5. Let's like, oh, they only have it up for DraftKings at minus 115. So this one I might wait and see if you can wait for the other sports books to catch up. But the official game prop, Bills over 26.5. So to recap, I have it all on the screen. The money line, excuse me, the lock is the Rams money line at minus 180. The underdog is the Bengals at plus 120. The player prop is Baker Mayfield under 32.5 passing attempts. And the game prop is the Bills over 26.5. So my picks went 3-1 last week. Just got screwed by a terrible Titans performance, offensive performance, I should say. This week I'm feeling good. And yeah, if like I said at the top of the show, if you want to place your own bets, use OddsJam to make sure that you're placing a positive value bet. And obviously make sure you use the tools and just brainlessly arb, brainlessly middle, and use their positive EV over 5 or 10%, whichever one you prefer. But again, if you like placing your own bets, you don't want to just, brainlessly pick theirs, or you want to do stuff on top of brainlessly picking theirs is what I should say. Make sure you're getting the good value. If you do that over time, you're going to profit. It's not making money betting on sports isn't difficult. You just have to know what you're doing. And if you're watching this video, that's a good start. And just make sure that you use all the tools that OddsJam has to offer. You use the advice that I gave you today, and you just keep paying attention and doing what you can do. And if you do that, you'll be successful. So thanks for watching. Again, my name is Matt Modi. I come to you from Modi Sports Analytics. If you want to hit me up on Twitter, you can at Modi_sports. I'd love to talk sports with everybody. And if you want to hit me up at email, if you have any suggestions, you can hit me up at Modi Sports Analytics at gmail.com. All right. Thanks, everybody. Happy betting.